I am live. I believe I am live. There's always a bit of a delay. So when we get the thing and we don't really see ourselves right away on the live stream. Cool. I already got some people talking to me. That's kind of fun. One guy asked me right over here, free the plane. He was asking me, are we going to be talking about star photography today? Well, the answer to that question is a resounding no. Sorry about that, guys. It's just, I'm not, star photography is definitely low light, but it's not something I have experience in. So I do not want to venture into something where I'm not going to give advice right now, at least on something I have never touched. But suffice to say, today, guys, we are here to talk to you about low light photography. Now, before I begin, I got to tell you guys that JGP, wait a minute here. JGP is all about getting that picture. So it's all about getting the picture, but it's also about the fact of getting there, the actual journey there. Stay tuned and watch the channel as much as you can. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe before we start. Also, make sure you stay tuned tomorrow at 7:45. I got a premiere, guys, coming out right now, and it's Street Photography at Night with Steffi, and her name's Stephanie Heron. She is the coolest friggin' model I have ever dealt with. She was great. We went out in the streets, and what we did was we actually decided to shoot photography using the lights of the street as our way of getting great shots, and it was a lot of fun. No flash, and we just walked around town, so it was a bit cool, and that was a lot of fun. And also another video you guys should check out is a video about me, myself, and where I come from, where I was in the past and where I was now today. You can check that out, guys. It really is a cool thing. But right now, guys, let us talk about the 10 tips and tricks to better low light photography. Now, before I start, I also want to tell you guys that I am sporting. Let me go to the big screen right now. I'm sporting a Cathedral Cellar Cabernet Sauvignon from 2016. I will try to leave the link below to this and my stemless glass, which I always do love. Let us pour right away. Let us pour. Let us pour. That is a generous amount of wine. What I do with my wine, I always let it aerate out, so I will not be taking the sip right away, but I don't know if you guys can see that, but there is a robe. See that little line there? That's called la robe. Anybody who knows what that means, it means that normally you have a very good wine on hand. It's a little line that is formed a bit by, you know what, if anyone has a great definition, comment below on what you think. But la robe is there. This is jet fuel. You got it, Julio, you understand. But anyways, once you have a nice robe, that little line on the top, you know your wine is good. And in French, we say, ce n'est pas de la piquette, meaning it is not crappy wine that you get at a crappy place. So there it is. There's my wine for today, and I wanted to mention that. I'll try to leave a link in the description to where you can get that wine, or at least where you can have it. Okay, and the last thing I wanted to say, and very important, is that I clarify that these are my tips. They're not the Bible. They're not what you guys have to follow to get better photography. They really are just my tips, guys, and they're personal. And I'm sure there's a lot more. I say these are 10 tips, but they're 10 things that come to mind when I do photography. If you guys go out there, please understand there are other things you can do to make your photography better. And I wanted to make sure you knew that right away, right off the bat. But there are two big things I'm going to talk about to you today. Let me just, sorry about that. I'm just going to take my screen and pull it up there. There's two things I really want to talk to you guys about today. 1 minute, give me a second here. I got to make this smaller because I can't see you guys chatting. There you go. So, oh, you guys call it frost. Okay, Julio Hernandez says it's called frost when you get that little hub on the top. Okay, so where was I at? Yes, I was talking about, it's too funny. I'm having fun. I haven't drank a drop of wine, everybody. Not yet, not yet. So yes, what I wanted to do was talk about two aspects of getting better low light photography. There are two things you need to adjust. In each of those cases, I gave you 5 tips and tricks. Now, one is attitude, and then after that, it's the technical of shooting. How to approach a low light situation with a good attitude, and how to deal with that low light situation technically. Okay, guys? So that's how I'm going to deal with this. My example I will be giving is, as you can see on the screen right now, is a circus show where everything about the show is terrible. I mean, for a photographer, it really is a nightmare. And the reason why is you have to deal with people moving fast. So you need a high shutter speed, low light, and it's dark. And you need to keep people in focus. So you need that low depth, you need a higher depth of field. So you want to close. Everything points to you closing down your F, making your shutter speed fast, and taking that ISO to a lower level because you want a quality shot. And all of those things you have to fight during the whole time. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Okay. So my first thing I wanted to talk to you about was attitude. Let's go into that right away. Now, you can read the list, guys, but I'll go through each one. And as I go, I have some pretty good examples for each case. And we'll see how we can do here. Now, my first point in here is, I'll go through them all. I guess I'll say them all. 1, dark is dark. 2, do not dwell on a missed out shot. Plan to reshoot. Emotion trumps technique. And anticipate movement. Now, those are the 5 points I have in the attitude and how you deal with everything. Let us talk about dark is dark first, guys. Now, I have some great shots here, and I thought I'd bring in some examples so you guys could see. But before I start, let me take a sip of my wine. And I'll also put in a source here, guys. Give me a second so you can see me up there. Avermeter, Logitech. There I am. I'm bigger than... I can put myself in the corner here, I guess. That will be good. Actually, I'll put myself a bit smaller and over here on the side. I hope you guys can see me there. There I am. I'm glad I can do that live. That's kind of cool. Okay, so anyways, so here's what I wanted to show you guys. In this image right here, this image, this is a very, very dark image. Now, why do I say dark is dark? I say dark is dark because I truly believe and of the philosophy that if a situation is dark and the naked eye sees it as dark, I know a lot of people who actually follow my channel know and hear this a lot from me. If a picture, an image in front of you is dark, let it be dark, people. Right off the bat, that will save you a lot of problems. In the case of this show was a show about remember the Chilean miners that got stuck underground and they got rescued? Well, it's about that whole experience. Therefore, the person who did this show wanted to keep the situation super, super dark. They wanted the show to be dark. And as you can see in the shot right here, it is a very dark shot. Now, let's go look at some of the technical aspects. I just want to go into this shot really quick and look at my ISO. My ISO is at 1250. I'm at f2.8 and 1/25th of a second. I did not push my ISO to try and go get more light. Behind, in this section right here, there is an audience. But the lighting specialist wanted it to be dark, so I left it dark. Personally, I believe when you do all these shots, this photography, you want to communicate an emotion. And if that emotion, you have to let the fact of light being there and light not being there be part of the communication you want to get across. It's very, very important. And let it happen. Let it be. That's all I wanted to say for that, guys. So that was one of the first points I wanted to mention. Now, the next point I want to mention is do not, in your attitude, dwell on a missed out shot. Now, why do I say that? I think what happens is that a lot of people in a dark situation, when they're shooting in dark situations, stuff happens quick and it can be a problem for you because you take your shot, you take a look at what's the preview on the screen and you freak out. You go, oh my God, my lighting is wrong. It's pitch black and I'm not getting the shot I wanted. It's okay, guys. It's okay. Move on to the next shot, make your adjustments. You'll try to get the shot as best you can. Don't dwell on a bad shot. Keep on going and keep on moving forward. Now, I had this problem a lot when I started off, and because of that, I did dwell a lot on my past shot. So I was adjusting and saying, oh my God, I got to go and compensate for my shot. And I'd be missing the events and the activities that were going on afterward. Because the priority, guys, in photography is a moment, not necessarily the photograph and the technicity of that shot and the quality of it. The moment is the most important. That's why I also preach to most people, out of focus is okay sometimes. Blurriness is okay. Motion blur is fine if you bring that motion across. So the moment is very, very important. That is the most important thing. If you do not dwell on that and move on to the next shot and forgive yourself, you're going to come up with some great shots no matter what. And let it be that you miss your shot. And that brings me to the third point, which you see right now on the screen in the list, is plan to reshoot. If you can get a shot, in my case for this show, I was able to shoot edit. Just the fact that I planned that the next day, if I missed some moments that I didn't get, I was able to go back and shoot was a bonus for me. It really, really paid off. And I was really happy that I could go and do that. So I just wanted to tell you guys, make sure if you plan to reshoot, point number 2 will be less stressful. Now, all you wedding photographers out there, I understand what you're about to tell me. That moment happens one day, and I agree. Now, when you get into wedding photography, you're getting into another situation where moments happen and they never happen again, but there are other things you can do. For example, in a wedding photography situation on point number 3, you can say to yourself, you know what? We're going to go out and do a pre-shoot, get some shots of the couple so we have those saved up. So it breaks your heart less when you go out and shoot at the actual event. That's all I wanted to say for that. Number 4, which I spoke of just before, emotion trumps technique. Now, I'll go to my screen right now, and I'm going to show you a shot which really pushes that across. Look at this shot, guys. This shot is pitch friggin' black. It's dark. We do not see anybody in this shot. But while taking this shot, I said, you know what? I don't know what's going to happen in this. I think I'm underexposed. But you know what? I put that thing on burst and I went to get my shots, because look at the faces. Look at each face in the shot. They have some sort of emotion that is communicated. Because emotion trumps technique, I can take this image. I've shot it in RAW. I can go take the image like this, pull it out. I'm going to open it up. I'm going to go and blast to try and get the shot I need, give it some highlights. There's another point I didn't mention, it's in the technical part later on, is that I crash blacks. You always crash blacks when you're doing shows and dark stuff. Now when I open this shot up, I got the images of the people I wanted because I wanted to get the emotion and wasn't worried about my shutter speed. Yes, I got grain. Yes, I got noise. But the shot is there. And this is a point in the show where people are extremely sad and they're dealing with that whole situation. So I went to get that emotion and I said to myself, I'll deal with technique later on. So that is just what I wanted to show on that shot right there. Let me go back to bridge here. Okay, now the next thing I wanted to mention that I think is important is also, I say anticipate movement, but I think you anticipate everything. Anticipate what's going to happen next. Try to plan as much as you can. But if you can plan and anticipate the movement of what is going to occur, for example, the bride walks towards the altar and you say, okay, the person's going to be at this point, at this spot, you'll be able to adjust for exposure, highlights, shadows, and the whole bit for that area and what you're going to do. So it's important to do that. A lot of my points in the attitude adjustment thing are all about making sure that you bring that level of stress down for what's going to happen when you actually shoot. Somebody here, Julio Mendez, Hernandez says pre-shoot. Yes, I agree. I agree. There you go. So anyways, those are the points I wanted to mention in the attitude and the way you have to adjust your attitude. Let me just go back here. So, yeah. So I think it's important that you look at those things and you adjust attitude. By the way, you guys, in the live stream, go ahead and give your points on how you can adjust attitude as well. I want to hear what you have to say. 9 chances out of 10, I get someone who blows my mind away, and I love it. They come up with something cool, and I go, shit, I never thought of that. Sip of my wine, everybody. Sip of my wine. Wow. That's an excellent wine, guys. Excellent. Excellent wine. Now, time to go into the technical aspects that I think are important when I shoot in low light. And I think it's up to you guys. You guys tell me if you think some of these things are your priority or not. You know, I want to hear what you got to say. But in the technical, here is my list. Open your F, okay? You will need bokeh. I just think these days, bokeh's in. Bokeh is cool. Bokeh will sell a shot. Open up your F and just leave it open. If you can lock your F, your aperture opening, and you can lock that thing open, do it. It's extremely, extremely important, guys. Keep that F open as much as possible. Number 2, ISO has priority. When light appears, when you do get light in a situation, it is the first thing you need to close down. Because graininess can be an evil that you get. Like Julio Hernandez said before, it's a necessary evil, but if you can get rid of it, the first thing you want to do is bring down your ISO. Bring it down as much as possible when you do get more light in your situation. Now, the next one is number 3 is, oh, sorry, I also have a shot here that really points that across, and I will show you guys right now. This shot right here, what I like about it is it really points across the funness of having an open F when you're in low light, in a low light situation. This person right here is lit up, but because my F, I believe, is down at 2.8 in this, let me see. The F on this is f 2.8, 1/125th of a second, ISO 1250. As you can see, I tried to keep my ISO down as much as possible to get the sharpness I could. But what's really nice about this image is the fact that there are people in the background fighting, and it adds to the emotion that they're in a blur, and in front, these two people are unified. Artistically speaking, it's just a nice statement, I think. And so F can be to your advantage in low light situations. What else do I want to say? Yes, mask for brightness in post. Now, I'm going to give you guys a little example of that. And this is really quick. I'm doing this really quick. Normally I do it a lot better, but I think it might be a point here. I'm just open this image right here. Get you guys in Photoshop with me. I'll show you that, guys, this image. There it is. Okay. So I'm going to do a little edit real quick. What I mean is that what you have to do when you mask for brightness is that you can open yourself up a layer of brightness and contrast in your adjustment levels, and you can take that and only put it where you want. And if you remember that you have that in post later on, you will allow yourself the capacity to shoot at a bit darker and have a bit darker images. Now, sorry, I'm taking my sip of my wine. It's just too good. This image right here will be a great example because, as you can see, there's someone floating up in the air and they're shooting out these little bright little sparks going all over the place, and they're kind of cool. So what I'm going to do is just take that image, open it up. Okay, so here's the image right here. Now, I'm not going to do a lot of exposure contrast here. I'm just going to brighten it up a bit and boost the contrast. I'm going to go in here, play with my curves. RGB. Look at the histogram of this thing. It's crazy. Everything's all in one end. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to open this up. Okay. So let's look at this image real quick. This image, the image size is 4,000 by 6,000. It's shot with the Fujifilm X-T2. I'm going to, just for the hell of it, just crop in. I'm going to crop in at 5.7 and right in on her and try to get those sparks in. Now, here's what I was saying about mask for brightness. Now, really quick, I'll show you. What I do is I create an adjustment level, and right here in brightness and contrast, I get my adjustment level. Now, don't panic here, but what I'm going to do is brighten the hell out of this and go get some contrast right there. Now, I do definitely want to keep this shot dark because the image and the actual part of the show was very dark. What I do is actually go in the brightness and contrast level. When you use adjustments and you click on these buttons, you get a mask right off the bat. I press Control-I and invert that. Now, all I have to do is paint inside the mask white to actually open up the brightness adjustment in those parts that I want. So let's say I go here, I get my brush, I zoom in. Now you can see from this person right here, get the brush, I change my brush color to white, and I can go and brighten up just the areas I want to. Now it seems simple, but a lot of people don't realize the fact that these exist. Now when you do brighten, make sure you only brighten in places that are supposed to be highlighted, where nature shows highlights. What's really cool is you can also sometimes go and get these actual flakes to bring in some more drama, and you can brighten them up a lot. It's really nice as we're working on a total black background. You can have some fun there. There you go. Brighten up some of those things. So you can get some really dramatic images. This is before, this is after. Before, after. So you keep the integrity of the shot, but you play with your brightness quite a bit, and you mask for brightness and do it where you would like to have it. Okay, and the last thing I wanted to mention, and one of the big tips I like to give to people, is that you always have a crop. That sounds like a funny thing, but we're in the era of 24 megapixels, and anyone who posts on Instagram, you got to post at 1080 by 1080 square. So you're talking about a lot of leeway in what you do. So what happens is, in this shot, I have a lot of stuff happening. Oops, sorry guys, I'm not even. Now, this is a good shot to show you guys that you can actually play with a crop and bring out some emotion as well. In this shot, we have two people hugging and a lot of people in the background over here. I'm working with the Fuji X-T2 with a whole ton of dynamic range. I could go get those people, but I can also play with something called the crop. So here, let me zoom in here a bit. Now, the quality of that is great. The image is really nice. So what I'm going to do is take this, and for the hell of it, I'll just open it up. I'm going to expose it just a tiny bit, get some brightness out there. Crash my blacks. See, when you crash your blacks, it brings out the drama. It's crazy. I will be straightening this out because I just can't stand. Let me go to original ratio and straighten this image out a tiny bit. Okay, let's look at that. That's cool. Now what I'm going to do is actually just go in and get a crop at original ratio for now. Okay. And I'll use the rule of thirds to bring something out and make it the blackness pop out on the side. Get that exit sign out of the picture, and we see what that looks like. I think that's a beautiful shot with the straps in the back. So all I'm trying to say is that you can use the crop and have the crop there, and it can be something really, really beneficial when you want to bring out emotion in a shot as well. You guys, that was a couple of things I wanted to show you. Now, if I said to myself, if my camera is still working, the last thing I wanted to do, and I'll answer questions right after, guys, but the last thing I wanted to do was show you my cam menu really, really quick and show you the sort of settings I do use when I actually do some shoots. Now, first thing I'm going to do is, what you guys are looking at is the Fujifilm X-T2. And these days it's my preferred camera. It has the, I have the 50 to 140 on it right now. I'm just going to go into the menu real quick and show you a couple of things that I make sure I have when I'm doing low light photography. And here are the settings. Now, the first thing I wanted to show you guys is that in the ISO, my ISO, as you can see, it's in 2500. What I try to do is keep my ISO between 800, yes, and 2500. Now, I personally am on an APS-C sensor. Therefore, my low light tolerance, because of the size of the sensor, is a lot lower than with a full frame. When I did have a Canon 6D, an old generation Canon 6D, I could go all the way up to 3200. I can't really do it on this camera, but I can at times. But as I told you, if you follow those attitude adjustments I talked about before, you don't need to go up to 3200 and all those high ISOs. My F on my camera is always at f2.8, 100% of the time. And my shutter speed, depending on what the show is, for the Circus shows, I have no choice but to be from 1/125th up. When I do something with low movement, I can stay at 1/125th. But as there starts to be more movement, like acrobatic shots and stuff like that, I'm going to go see if I can go pick up an acrobatic shot here really quick. No, I got none in there. But definitely, for example, on this shot right here, let me show you guys. On this shot right here, these girls were moving quite fast in this image. I think it's still loading this shot. Yeah, there you go. These girls were moving quite fast, so I had no choice but in my camera menu to go up to, I believe I was at 1/250th of a second. So it made sure that I could freeze action pretty well. And that's basically it. That's all I really wanted to show you guys in that part of the camera as well. So there you go, guys. So that's all I wanted to show you guys today. These are the things that I think are really, I deem super important. And I just wanted to tell you guys that that's the way I look at low light photography. Now, again, they are my opinions, and I use the example of show photography, but I do take all these philosophies and bring them into my other shoots when I do shoot other stuff. Now, I'm going to answer a couple of questions, take a sip of my wine, and then after that, we're going to end the live cast. And first of all, guys, I'd like to thank all of you for being there. Anyone who just joined us, I hope you're enjoying. This video will be up on my channel later on as well. Remember, you guys, Steffi tomorrow. I'm answering questions now. Oh boy, that's good. Okay, here we go. Post-processing software, you can go with Adobe. It's cheap. Oh, these guys are talking to each other. Night. Now, Free the Plane says, I must admit, I prefer not to alter my photos much. I set my camera in a manual mode until I learn it. Well, you know what? I just want to tell you, Free the Plane, you're going for a great philosophy in life. I totally agree with you. You have to shoot as if you're not going to go to post after. Try to get the shot right. That's one of the big things why there's this guy named Jason Lanier, and I think all you guys know who he is, but he always ends his video on saying you only have one chance to get it right. He's right. That's how you got to feel. That's the philosophy you got to have when you go and take your shot. So there you go. Anyways, so you guys, if you have any points, any other things, there's not much comments there. A lot of people talking with each other. I don't want to interrupt you guys. I really don't. So you guys remember that JGP is all about the shot, and it's also about the journey getting there. Like, share, subscribe. And remember, guys, Steffi comes out tomorrow morning, and it is a cool video. We had a blast on that thing. We had a lot of fun. And don't forget, everybody, keep on making something from nothing.